Hey guys, so here's a medium flat rate priority mail box that I happen to have in my stash of shipping stuff, and I decided to use them for this project. So I went ahead and assembled the box with nothing in it, and this is the medium flat rate that's more long and thin. There is one that's cube style, don't get that one. And I marked the box 2 inches down from one long side and drew a line, and I also marked it 4 inches down and then drew a line halfway across. Here I'm going to darken the lines because you can't really see them on camera. I knew that. Then you want to flip it over and you want to do the same thing again, and for the 4-inch line you want to draw it on the opposite side of the box than you did the first time. So I'm going to draw it all the way across and then halfway across on the left this time instead of the right. Then I'm going to connect the two lines on the front and back, connect them on the side with another pencil line. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, only on the other side I've got the 2-inch line to connect and the 4-inch line. Then I am going to mark 6 inches in from either end on one line and the other line, and then I'm going to connect those lines and make a diagonal. And I'm going to do the same thing on each side. And then we have our cutting line to create a file folder holder for our magazine ephemera and old book text or whatever you choose to put in there. For me it was vintage magazine materials and book pages and newer magazine materials and book pages. So here I'm cutting it. My arms, both shoulders are starting to get sore, but because I've done a lot of cutting at this point, so my cuts aren't exactly perfect, but anyway, use a box cutter, keep your fingers well out of the way, make sure your blade is sharp. So here we go, and we have our basic file folder holder box, and the box has these flaps in the inside that I don't want to cut off because I think that will weaken the box a little bit, but I do want to tape or glue them down or something. I choose to use duct tape because I have a lot of duct tape, and I cut a couple of small pieces and put them inside after I pull the strings off, and then I burnish it down with a bone folder and really make sure it's stuck down really well, and then I do the same thing to the other side. To strengthen the box, if you chose to, you could run a piece of tape around the short side all the way around the box on the outside. You could also make it pretty by painting it or covering it with collage papers if you so choose. Mine is inside of a cabinet, so I didn't care too much if it just says priority mail. So once I get that in there, I've got my box done and my basic organizer folder holder is done. And then I've made some folders here to put in it. I haven't cut them exactly straight because, like I said, I was tired. So here you see me trimming a couple of them on camera that are kind of wonky. And then I'll show you really quick how I created the folders. They are made out of some paper I had in my studio, some thick paper. You could use cardstock or poster board or something. And I cut a piece of paper that is about 13.5 inches wide by about 21.5 inches long. And for each folder, you just need one piece of paper. And then I use my envelope punch board. Here you see me just straightening up the paper because it's trimmed, like I said, wonky. Anyway, so then you see me grab my envelope punch board. Now, if you don't have one, you could definitely do this with an X-Acto knife or with a hole punch. I punch one corner and then I punch 4 inches in. I flip it over and I punch 4 inches in and then punch the other opposite corner. And you'll see why I do that in just a minute. So on this one where I've got the two longer things punched, I cut off the short end. And on the other side where I've got the two shorter pieces punched, I cut off the long end. Then I bring the two short ends together and fold it and score it with a bone folder. And the last thing I do was take the sharp corners and punch them again with the envelope punch board. Hi guys, we're sitting on the floor looking in my paper cabinet. So you saw in the previous video I did a
kind of a little bit of a speed up with a voiceover because when I was filming it, the whole house was full of people. So that's not really conducive to filming. So I decided to film the video and then put some audio on it later today when nobody is home. So that's what we're doing. But this is the inside of my paper cabinet. Now, right now I have lots of spare journals and things in here because I'm cleaning and getting ready for journaling next year. Part of that is getting things cleaned up and organized so that I can easily access pieces and parts that I want to get to for next year's art journaling process. And I also am not the type that can be creative when my space is too chaotic. So unlike some artists who are wonderfully creative in a state of chaos and having their studio in just a complete disarray, I'm definitely not one of those. Yes, I realize that might be kind of compulsive. Anyway, I need to have my space organized and be able to easily find things. When I get too many things out of order and my space gets too messy, I have to stop creating and start cleaning. And I can't be more creative until that process is done. That's where I was recently, and at the same time I was working on some journaling Crazy Island style prompts for November, and I kind of was stuck on one. Part of my process when I'm stuck artistically, lots of you have asked me recently, what do I do? You know, do I ever get stuck? How do I stay creative? So I'm not going to completely answer that question right now, but what I will tell you is we all get stuck. So when I get stuck artistically and I'm not in the mood to create, I'm not in the mood to paint, it happens to everybody, even me. So that doesn't mean I stop doing art. For me, I still do art. For me, cleaning and organizing my space is still working on my art. Making embellishments and collage papers, that's still working on my art. If I don't feel like making, today's masterpiece, that's okay, because I can do other artistic type or crafty type things. And I do consider crafters artists. Any kind of creative personality, creative soul, is an artist in my book. Whether you're a painter or a crafter or a photographer or a chef, or those are all creative endeavors that in my mind are artistic. And I do think my new round of business cards are going to say creative soul on them as a job title instead of anything else. So anyway, what I was working on in the finished product were these, as you saw. So completely free. I didn't spend any money on them. I made these box organizers out of priority mailboxes, as you saw. For the folders, they're bigger than a legal size folder, slightly bigger. And I could have, of course, gone out and bought poster board, but I have these giant pads of watercolor and mixed media paper in my old studio space. I used to use them on my table, and because it was in the garage and it was kind of dusty, and I used to use them underneath all my work to protect things. It was inexpensive Canson XL mixed media paper. It's not necessarily the best paper to paint watercolor on, but or to do mixed media on, but it's great for these kind of crafty projects. And I just made my folders, and then I sorted through all of my large ephemera, and I labeled each folder. I do have one bag back here that's actually a bag of vintage greeting cards, but it can just stay in the bag in the back. Everything's marked and labeled, and I got all my magazine images sorted and categorized, and my vintage paper. I know I have a lot of books too. These are all books that are I rip up for collage. I do have two more boxes back here. One is full of paint chips, and the other one is full of wrapping paper. They're the 12 by 12. Let me move out of the way so you can see. They're the 12 by 12 paper storage boxes. They're going to probably stay that way because that's the easiest way for me to store those items, at least for right now. And this is just blank, different kinds of blank paper. And then all my collage books. I have to stop buying books for collage because I have too many now. And this drawer up here is full of scrapbooking paper. So that's it. I hope this helped you a little bit. I wanted to really figure out some kind of a storage system for these images, the big images that I could come up with that would be easy. Easy for me to find rather than one, giant box or two. I actually had 3 big boxes here full of images, and they were all mixed up. They weren't sorted at all. So I spent a lot of time yesterday sorting. So I have one file of just people, one file of just animals and bugs and that sort of thing. So that makes the process, I still am the type that likes to dig through the papers to find my images. That part of the creative process I like, but I don't want to deal with all of the images to just find the people. So now I can just pull out the people folder and do a little bit of digging that will satisfy my need to dig without driving me crazy. I hope it helped you. I didn't spend any money. I had all the materials. I didn't spend a thing. So you can do it too if you need to reorganize your studio. Think outside the box and see what you have that will work. All right, I'll see you all later. Go out and have a great day. Do something nice for yourself because you deserve it. Bye.